Welcome to MTG Friends. In honor of Dominaria United, we're going to do Sheoldred the Apocalypse mono black build. Legendary creature Phyrexian Praetor. Sheoldred is some tasty vittles. It's got Death Touch. Whenever you draw a card, you gain 2 life. Whenever an opponent draws a card, they lose 2 life. So we're going to be playing with life. This is a life deck, not necessarily a life gain deck, but just a life deck. Anyways, MTG Friends here. Thanks for checking us out. If you're a subscriber, you rock. Anyways, let's go check out the packages. The packages. We're always talking about packages. All right, we use Architect. The build will be in the link below you. Packages. We just have one control piece. A fair amount of draw, so the synergies of this deck is going to be utilizing the life gain and life loss mechanics, and you'll see a theme happening over and over and over again with a good amount of spot removal and mass removal that black does so well. Our land package is very straightforward. We will go through that. Like I said, we're dealing with life gain, and life loss for our opponents. A few shenanigan cards. Shenanigans. The typical tutors you'd expect. And we are going to not Voltron our commander, but we want to keep our commander in play as often and as frequently, holy moly, almost didn't get that out, as possible, which is why we have Swiftfoot Boots, Lightning Greaves, we got some Redirection, we got some Indestructible, and one of my favorite very little known black cards, Darkness. Anyways, we'll get into that. Yeah. Removal, recursion, just the typical staple recursion we'd expect in black. And lots of ramp. Normally, I don't talk about the maybe board, but we're actually going to go through a few of these that didn't quite make the cut. But if you tweak this, even in the slightest, you might end up wanting to throw in things like Whip of Erebus or Yawgmoth's Will. I mean, Yawgmoth's Will is just a huge hardcore staple in black, but it is an expensive card, and you know, you can easily swap it in if you have it. I purposely left it out just because it didn't quite fit what we're doing here, but that's just such a powerful card, you might end up using it anyways. All right, here we go. Sheoldred. Super excited about Dominaria United. As of this recording, it's going to be pre-released in the next couple days. So when you watch this, maybe quite some time after that fact. Anywho, all right, Sheoldred, we got what it's doing. Draw a card, gain 2. Opponents draw cards, lose 2. Yeah, man. All right, Opposition Agent. You know, I've heard people bitch about this card and people rave about this card. The reason I like this card, especially in mono black, is, you know, if you got opponents that are doing fetch lands, going and grabbing different things, especially in a lot of the groups that I play in, this can go grab their land as well. So not only do you take control of their tutor, so let's just say they do just a regular old tutor effect, but we can also do things like fetch lands, which is super funny, and we can go grab things out of their deck and utilize them for us even early on. So just keep that in mind when you're on the fence about whether you want to run Opposition Agent. All right, we have draw. Now we're in mono black. Why wouldn't we play Bola Citadel? You can look at the top of your deck. You can play him, and then you pay life equal to that converted mana cost. That is perfect in this kind of a build. Like I said, we are dealing with a lot of life gain, and then we can utilize it with this. But like I said, with this commander, and I will not reiterate this too many more times, it's part of the commander's shenanigans. So we are loving Bola Citadel. People hate this card. If you drop it onto the playfield, they will immediately try to get rid of it if they can. It's, so to speak, ultimate. Sacrifice 10 online permanents. Each opponent loses 10 life. Can win you games and does win you games sometimes. All right. Dark Deal. Now, like I said, we actually are going to want our opponents to draw cards if we have the right pieces in play. And we'll go through that as we go through the packages. Dark Deal, each player discards all the cards in his or her hand, then draws that many cards -1. That is good for what we're up to. Yes, it is problematic if they start drawing answers to your board state, but you'll see how this is progressing as we go on. Peer into the Abyss. This is a game winner if you have a couple pieces in play. Target player draws cards equal to half the number of cards in their library and loses half their life rounded up each time. Unfortunately, it only targets one opponent, but by the time you drop this like it's hot, you are probably very close to winning the game or removing a player that's going to whack-a-mole you. Phyrexian Arena, at the beginning of your upkeep, you draw a card and you lose 1 life. We are purposely not running Necropotence because we want the actual draw mechanic in this build. Necropotence skips your draw phase. So that's why we're running Phyrexian Arena instead of Necropotence in a mono black deck. Because otherwise we would normally do Necropotence. All right, Sizan, Perverter of Truth, probably a card you don't see all that often. At the beginning of each player's upkeep, that player loses 2 life and draws 2 cards. We're in a life-gaining, life-taking-away deck, so this is pretty good for us. We are also running things so that we don't have to discard. You have no maximum hand side with Spellbook, costs you nothing to drop onto the playfield. All right, Fairy's Puzzle Box. This is going to really be utilized heavy duty with a couple other pieces we're going to get to at the beginning of each player's draw step. That player puts the cards into his or her hand on the bottom of his or her library in any order, then draws that many cards. Draw, y'all. All right, apparently it wants us to go through land. I wanted to go through the other packages, but you know what? We'll just blast through this. All the things you'd expect in a mono black. Ancient Tomb, so we can get multiples. Bojuka Bog in a pinch. We don't necessarily want to exile anyone's graveyard because we do have recursions like Animate Dead and those kinds of things. But in a pinch, this is super duper important, especially if people are playing out of their graveyard, except for just you. Bojuka Bog is, I think, the only tapped land in this deck. You know how much I hate tapped lands. Cabal Coffers, add black for each swamp you control for 2. Castle Lochthwain really helps you if you need to draw and the board state has been farewelled or something where you just got nothing going on. Your deck is like just jacked in terms of your hand. So anyways, this allows you to draw a card for 3 in a pinch. All right, Crypt, and of course this helps with our commander. Crypt of Agadim. Oh, I lied. There's 2 tapped lands in here. Comes in tapped. Boo. But it's still good enough. Tap for 1 black. For 2, add black to your mana pool for each black creature card in your graveyard. Yes, sir. Yes, sir, Bob. Nykthos. This is the Devotion one. For 2, you tap for that amount of color. Reliquary Tower, because we are most likely going to have more than 7 cards in our hand at any given time. Shizo Death Storehouse. This is in here. Totally swappable card, by the way, in this deck. For black tap, target legendary creature gains fear until end of turn. I mean, this could help you in a pinch. Especially if, I mean, I suppose Rogue Passage could do it as well, but if you want to hit him for commander damage. But this is a totally swappable land if 1, you don't have it, and 2, you're just not feeling it. Because, you know, you're not always going to feel every single card I say you should put in decks, or are you? You follow me till the ends of the earth like lemmings. All right, we are in to life. Not game, but life. Just life. So hard not to say life game. Aether Flux Reservoir for 4. Whenever you cast a spell, you gain 1 life for each spell you cast this turn. Don't forget that mechanic, because sometimes I'm playing and I absolutely forget. Oh, yeah, I gain life each time I play something. Pay 50 life and whack somebody's face for 50, yo. And if things have gone right, we are very high in life, and people are very grumpy. All right. Alhammaret's Archive for 5. If you would gain life, gain twice that life instead. If you would draw a card, except the first one you draw in each of your draw steps, draw 2 cards instead. All right, more life shenanigans. Your opponents can't gain life. Yeah, buddy. This is a great card, and it's a flyer. It does cost 7, but we have a lot of ramp possibilities, at least as far as black can ramp. At the beginning of each end step, each opponent loses life equal to the life that player lost this turn. So if we have some mechanics going where they're losing 2 life, 4 life, suddenly it's doubling up, and then we have other things. Yeah, this can get out of hand real quick. And it's fun. Ayara, First of Locthwain for 3 in mono black, great black staple out of Throne of Eldraine. When it ETBs or another creature ETBs under your control that's black, which is almost all of these, each opponent loses 1 life and you gain 1 life. And you can tap, sack another black creature, draw a card. You're probably not going to be doing sack. We are not running a sack mechanic deck. Otherwise, you'd see Grave Pact and Dictate of Erebos, which we are not running because we got to choose a lane, man. Choose a lane. Blood Chief Ascension for 1. It is a fabuloso enchantment. At the beginning of each end step, if an opponent lost 2 or more life this turn, which is going to almost automatically be happening as long as we have our commander out, you put a quest counter on it. Damage causes loss of life. Yeah, we got it. Older card says weird things like that. Whenever a card is put into an opponent's graveyard from anywhere, if Blood Chief Ascension has 3 or more quest counters on it, you may have that player lose 2 life. If you do, you gain 2 life. 2 life, yeah. All right, damnable pact. All right, New Capenna. Target player draws X cards and loses X life. So in some shenanigans going on, this could actually win us a game by making an opponent draw for cards, depending. Or in a pinch, we do it. Exquisite Blood. Whenever an opponent loses life, you gain that much life. Don't really need to explain that. Exsanguinate. Very nice black, mono black staple. Black, X. Each opponent loses. Notice it says each opponent loses X life. You gain life equal to the life lost this way. It's Gary, yo. It's Gary in a sorcery. Fate. Well, not exactly Gary. Gary is devotion-based. Fate Unraveler for 4. Whenever an opponent draws a card, Fate Unraveler deals 1 damage to that player. Speaking of Gary. All right. Based on your devotion, each opponent loses X life to your devotion. 4 black pips. 4 if you're playing against 3 people. Super fabuloso, fabulous mono black card. Keurig. Of course, we're running Keurig if we have some life gain mechanics. You can check out our Keurig deck as well, which is very, very sinister and fun. Actually, I'm probably going to tweak that a little bit here in the next couple weeks. So you might see some updates to Keurig. All right, it's got life gain. You can pay Phyrexian as in life instead of the 3 black pips in it. So 4 colorless, 2 life. So you can get it out as early as turn 4 with 4 mana sources. Life Lincoln for each black in a cost. You can pay 2 life rather than pay that mana. Fabulous. We can really start going through our deck. Whenever you cast a black spell, put a 1/1 counter on it, and it's got life gain. This thing is just a huge target once it hits the battlefield. Sanguine Bond for 5. Whenever you gain life, target opponent loses that much life. It is opponent, not opponents. But speaking of opponents, plural, Sir Conrad the Grim for 5/4. Whenever another creature dies or a creature card is put into a graveyard from anywhere other than the graveyard, hopefully and most likely we're going to have opponents that are having to discard cards, which means, boom, they're going to start losing 1 damage each time they do that. And for 2, you can have each player mill a card. You may end up doing that part, just depends. Torment of Hailfire, because there's a good chance we're going to have some mana sink available to us. This is a good late game spell. Torment of Hailfire, black, X. Repeat the following process X time. Each opponent loses 3 life unless that player sacrifices a non-land permanent or discards a card. Boom. Now, because people are drawing so much with our mechanics, they might end up just dumping a bunch of cards. But hey, card advantage, it's all good. Underworld Dreams. This combo is great with Teferi Puzzle Box. Whenever an opponent draws a card, Underworld Dreams deals 1 damage to that player. Do I need to explain this card in this deck? I don't think so. All right, we got a few protection pieces. Darkness is hilarious. They will not expect it. It is Fog in green. Creatures attack and block as normal, but none deal any damage. All attacking creatures are still tapped. Play anytime before attack damage is assigned. You can totally see this is a super flippin' old card because of the way that reads. Oh, if I must die, I will encounter darkness as a bride and hug it in my arms. What? Wait, William Shakespeare? Huh, that's interesting. I didn't realize it was William Shakespeare. All right, Darksteel Plate. Equipped creature has indestructible. Cost you 3, then equip 2. Pretty great for our commander. Imp's Mischief. This, I lean towards this card, especially in black. You could totally swap this out. But like, let's say somebody tries to Plowshares you or Path to Exile your commander or something and you don't have boots on it. Change the target of target spell with a single target. You lose life equal to that spell's converted mana cost. And then you eliminate and redirect spot removal. That's the main reason this is in here. Somebody tries to Chaos Warp something important. You know, just shenanigans on that makes things out of whack for your opponents. Totally swappable if you're not feeling this card. Lightning Greaves, like I said, equip 0, has Shroud, so you won't be able to target your own creature, but we don't have, I don't think we're running anything other than these couple protection pieces in terms of swords. Yeah, we're definitely not. So the Shroud part isn't really a problem. Swiftfoot Boots, Hexproof. You all know the difference between Hexproof and Shroud, right? Shroud, you can target your own creature. Hexproof, or Hexproof, you can target your own creature. Shroud, you can't. There you go. There you go. What? Oh, and of course they give them haste, which is just like a bonus, yo. Black Market. Whenever a creature dies, put a charge counter on Black Market at the beginning of your pre-combat main phase. Add black for each charge counter on Black Market. This thing can really help you out. Really help you out. In like a huge way. And we're in ramp, of course. Bubbling Muck. Until end of turn, whenever player taps a swamp for mana, it produces an additional black. Crypt Gas. Tap black, adds black. Dark Ritual. Early on. For 1 black, add 3. Jet Medallion. Reduces all of our black by 1 colorless less. All right, Jeweled Lotus, because we are in mono black. We want to get our commander out as quickly as possible. I am really handsy in this episode. Handsy. I know that's usually used for different insinuations. Sack it for 3 black of this particular commander, and then you can play your commander early, which is nice. Mana Crypt, totally swappable if you don't have it. You could put in whatever the hell else you want. I mean, we're not running Arcane Signet. We're not running. Oh, I think we're running Soul Ring. I would hope we're running Soul Ring. At the beginning of upkeep, flip a coin. If you lose the flip, Mana Crypt deals 3 damage to you. We don't care because we're running a lot of life gain shenanigans. Another one where you tap Swamp, get double. Pitiless Plunderer, totally swappable in this deck, but it does give us treasures, which is nice when another creature dies. Again, we're not running a sack. I do like this. I would not say this is a filler card. It does actually help with ramp. Sign in Blood. Target player draws 2 cards and loses 2 life. In a pinch, we can drain some more life out of a creature. Let's say they're out of a player. Let's say they've gone wide. You can't get through. You are running out of steam, and you want them to draw 2 cards instead of you. That's pretty badass, especially if we have things on the board that are synergizing with that. Or we need the extra cards, yo. All right, Soul Ring. What? That is a weird-looking Soul Ring. That's the first time I'm seeing this Warhammer version. That's interesting. Thought Vessel, we are specifically running this because you have no maximum hand size as long as this is on the battlefield. You can tap for 1 black, for 2. I mean, that is a very underwhelming ramp mana rock, except for the fact that you have no maximum hand size. Ancient Brass Dragon made the cut, and the reason is, take a look. If people are discarding and doing all sorts of stuff, having to put stuff in the graveyard, this is badass. Whenever Ancient Dragon deals combat damage to a player, roll a d20. When you do, put any number of target creature cards with total mana value X or less from the graveyard onto the battlefield under your control, where X is the result. I'm not a fan of the d20 roll, but I am a fan of this card, especially in mono black. So there you go. Animate dead. Go grab a creature out of any graveyard. Put it on the battlefield with a -1 power counter on it. Reanimate. Same thing. You lose life equal to its converted mana cost. Boom, boom, shalakalaka. Archon of Cruelty. A flyer for 7. It's so expensive, but we have ways to ramp, y'all. When it ETBs or attacks, target opponent sacrifices a creature or planeswalker, discards a card, and loses 3 life. You draw a card and gain 3 life. That's so much shit that it does for 7. Pretty damn good. Plus, it's just a flat-out 6/6 flyer, which wouldn't be super exciting at 7, except for all the other crazy crap it does. Removal, Curtain's Call. I love this because most likely I'm playing against 3 opponents. If you tend to be playing 1v1 or 2v1, not 2v1, but with 3, then this card could be swapped out for like a murder type card or like Murderous Raider. Rider? Raider. I think it's Murderous Rider. Curtain's Call for 5, Undaunted, costs 1 less for each opponent. You got destroy not 1 creature, but 2. 2. Damnation. Board wipe. Not board wop. Board wipe. Deadly Rollick, one of the few that exiles, especially if you have something that's indestructible and you can't get a Mutilate out or a Toxic Deluge, which we'll talk about in a moment. If you have your commander out, it costs you nothing. Exile target creature. Drag to the bottom from Dominaria United. I like this enough where it got included. Each creature gets -XX until end of turn, where X is 1. So -1/-1. Plus the number of basic land types among lands you control, which is going to be a lot because we're running lots and lots of basics. Feed the Swarm. We can whack a creature or an enchantment. Don't forget the enchantment part. That is super beneficial in black. You lose life equal to that permanent's converted mana cost. In Garrick's Wake, does not make mono black decks with me very often because it costs so gosh darn much mana-wise. But we have a lot of ways to ramp. Destroy all creatures you don't control and all planeswalkers you don't control. That is like a hardcore Cyclonic Rift, even better, but it costs 9, which is bleh, vomit. But there is a real good chance we can get there, and if you are able to make this one happen, you are well on your way to a win, folks. A W. Massacre Worm, I mean, why wouldn't we run a Massacre Worm? When it ETBs, -2/-2 to all creatures, and whenever creature opponent control dies, that player loses 2 life. Lots of life synergies all over the place with this build. By design. Oh, I guess I did put Murderous Rider in here. Well, there you go. Just another spot removal piece. I love the fact that you get a murder for 3, and then on top of that, well, they call it Swift In. A murder for 3, instant speed, and then you can play it as a creature that has lifelink. That is just so pretty. Mutilate, -1 to all creatures for each swamp you control. No Mercy is a fabulous mono black, or even just a black deck. It doesn't have to be mono black build to really make your opponents have to think about whether they're attacking you. Whenever a creature successfully deals damage to you, destroy it. I think I put this in absolutely every black deck I have. I probably haven't done every single one, but yeah, you know. Noxious Gearhulk, definitely a swappable card, but just more spot removal. When it ETBs, you can destroy another target creature. If a creature is destroyed this way, you gain life equal to its toughness. Life gain, there you go. Phyrexian Obliterator, I put in pretty much almost all black, mono black decks for sure because it's got 4 black pips. The only thing that's problematic with Obliterator is if somebody bribes it, steals it, takes it because they're in blue and they're bastards, or they reanimate it out of your graveyard. Whenever a source deals damage to Phyrexian Obliterator, that source's controller sacrifices that many permanents. Ooh, are they going to think again about swinging at you, yo? The Meathook Massacre, -X, still in standard as of this recording. When it ETBs, each creature gets -X, black, X. Whenever a creature you control dies, each opponent loses 1 life. Whenever a creature an opponent controls dies, you gain 1 life. Lose life, gain life. Yes. Life. Another toxic, another mutilate toxic deluge as an additional cost to cast this spell. Pay X life. All creatures get -X. Yep. All right, Machias the Unhallowed, totally swappable card. You can absolutely put this out of here. I don't know. I went with my gut on this one, and it felt like, hey, yeah, include this. Zombie Cleric for 6. When a human deals damage to you, destroy it. Non-human creatures you control, which is most of them, if not all of them. Other non-human creatures you control get +1/+1 and have Undying. It dies and then it comes back with a +1/+1 counter. Now just keep in mind they get +1/+1 on the play field if they're non-human, but when they die they get a +1/+1 counter on it, which is the Undying. And then if it dies again and it has a +1/+1, Undying doesn't trigger. In case you didn't realize that. This is a super funny card. I totally forgot about this card, and since we're dealing with life, I thought this would be funny. Whenever an opponent loses life, that player mills that many cards that we can go grab from the graveyard, hopefully. Or, I don't know, we can also have Sir Conrad out and be draining them of life. See, there's lots of interacting cards in this, y'all. I mean, this isn't just a big, dumb green creature deck. This is some fun stuff. All right, Nashi, Moon, Sage, Scion. I just love that it has ninjutsu. Whenever it deals combat damage to a player, exile a top card of each player's library. Until end of turn, you may play one of those cards. If you cast a spell this way, pay life equal to this mana rather than its mana cost. Yeah, buddy. So just cost you life? Yes, please. Thank you very much. All right, Terragrid, God of Fright. If this hits the battlefield, you are going to hear some sighs. So keep your chuckling internal. People hate this card. I love this card in mono black, especially with the synergies we have going on in this build. Terragrid, God of Fright. We are most likely not playing the flip side, which is target player loses 3 life unless they sacrifice a non-land permanent or discard, or for 4 untap it. Most likely you're not playing that. This is the side we're probably playing. Whenever an opponent sacrifices non-token permanent or discards, the discard part is the important part, a permanent card, you may put that card from a graveyard onto the battlefield under your control. Yeah. What? All right, the Haunt of Hightower. Flying and lifelink, if that wasn't good enough. When it attacks, defender player discards a card. Oh, we were just talking about discards. Whenever a card is put into an opponent's graveyard from anywhere, put a 1/1 counter on the Haunt of Hightower. It is a passable card. It's a shenanigans card. I love the fact that it has lifelink, which is why it made the cut in this particular build. You can totally swap this card out, though, if you have something spicier that I hadn't thought of. And if you have something spicier that I haven't thought of, put it in the comments. And if it is super awesome and I hadn't thought of it, it will probably make the cut and swap it in. All right, tutors. Of course, we're running Demonic Tutor. Search library, put it in your hand for 2. I mean, yeah. Runescar Demon. Whenever Runescar Demon enters the battlefield, search library for a card, put it in your hand, then shuffle your library. 7-drop. But we got ramp, so we're okay. Vampiric Tutor. Cost you 2. Put it on top of your library at instant speed. You do not have to show what it is, which is important. A lot of the other tutors you do, like Worldly Tutor and the other tutor, Enlightened Tutor. Baleful Mastery. Oh, we're in the maybe board. And I did say at the beginning of this, and thank you, by the way, if you're still watching this, I did say we're going to actually go through this maybe board real quick. Just tell you why some of this stuff didn't make the cut. So Yawgmoth's Will didn't make the cut because it just, I don't know, it just felt like, yeah, I'm forcing it in there just because it's a cool card. I can think of plenty of times when you would put this in, especially if you have creatures that ETB a lot and do things that synergize that then get exiled at the end. So that's the main reason this didn't make the cut. Whip of Erebus, same thing. If we return target creature card from the graveyard to the battlefield, it gains haste, but then you got to exile it in. It does give our creatures lifelink, but we already have plenty of lifelink going on, so that didn't make the cut. Poison the Cup. This is a swappable card, like for budgetary reasons. If you want spot removal and you need a less expensive version of something. Mergrim just didn't make the cut. It was too weak. Liliana, yeah, it just felt like I was shoehorning this in for no particular reason, for draw, and we already have ways to draw. Howling Mine, I was very much on the fence. It may actually end up making it back in depending on how play goes with this deck and as I tweak it a little bit. I just don't like the just raw equal amount of draw that the other opponent's going to get. You need to have a couple pieces in place in order for Howling Mine to really be levered like a mofo for you. But this may actually end up going back in. Horn of Greed, same thing. Whenever player plays a land, that player draws a card. I want to see card advantage continually happening to us where it's damaging them to have equal or lesser card draw going on because of our pieces. God Pharaoh statue just felt like meh. I mean, yeah, they lose 1 life at the end of the turn and their spells cost 2 more, but it costs 6 to get there, and you better have some shizzle going on before 6 drops. Font of Agonies, we're not running a sack deck, so therefore Font of Agonies makes absolutely no sense in here. When I was putting it together, I was considering going the sack route, but this build I think is going to be a lot more fun for you and more interesting. Dothy, because we do have some recursion and we have some graveyard play going on, Dothy didn't make the cut. Black Vice, at first I was like, oh, that'd be fun. I mean, you could put it in, but there's probably going to be a chance where other players are riding that 4 card or less issue and, hitting people in Commander for 3 damage. There was just more important things to put in. And Baleful Mastery can definitely go in if you want to swap out a more costly, as in financially, card for removal. And there you go, folks. I think Sheoldred the Apocalypse is going to be a super fun commander to play with its mechanics of the drawing card gaining 2 life and your opponent's drawing card losing 2 life. I mean, how funny is it if somebody puts in some blue draw and they just start drawing extra and getting whacked every single time? And that's just so fun. So fun, you blue players. All right, peace out, MTG friends.